Welcome back to So Bad It's Good, presented by Betches Media. Today, you guys, I've got to introduce you to your new TV obsession. So, all 10 episodes of this just dropped on Hulu, and it's something that you might already be familiar with, but it is a new era. I'm talking about Dance Moms, a new era, which is a reboot of Dance Moms, which has been insanely popular. But we have a new coach, new dancers, and of course, new mama drama. Today, we are lucky to talk to the head of this whole thing, the beloved dance coach, the one, the only, Glow Hampton. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Glow, is it all right to call you Glow, or do you prefer Gloria?
No, absolutely. You can call me Glow.
Okay. Listen, I watched 3 episodes of this last night, and then I kind of got addicted. I had to do something this morning, came back, watched the fourth episode. This show is highly addictive. I mean, first off, congratulations.
Thank you
But
so much. I appreciate that.
second off, this is intense. Like, I mean, you're dealing with these little girls that are like little professionals dancing in this amazing way, but also you're dealing with their mothers. What is more challenging dealing with, the kids or the moms?
What do you think? I mean, I've been doing this for 40 years and I've always said I wish there were a way to just drop the kids off, have the parents leave, and never have to see them.
Oh, I mean, and you, I mean, you have no problem kind of shutting things down if a mom approaches you in a tough manner. I mean, you'll do it in front of their kids. I was like, whoa.
You know, the thing is, I try to be fair, but I'm the expert, right? And as much as I would prefer to do it outside of the studio, if they're going to come at me, they're the one upsetting their child, not me, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, no, I mean, you are definitely in charge of that ship. And what really impressed me, because I didn't watch the initial iteration of Dance Moms. I've seen clips and, so I didn't know what I was walking into. And first off, I got to say, these kids, I mean, their talent level is so amazing. And you've chosen 7 of them, I believe, to be in your elite team. What do you look for in a child in terms of like raw talent that you can mold?
All children are different, and children progress at different rates. So sometimes I'll have a kid at 7 years old, and I'm like, this kid's going to be a star, and they usually are. But by the same time token, by the time they reach 12 or 13 years old, that gap is closed with the other students. It's always nice to have that one kid that is really good for everyone to want to emulate. But in this situation, I have a really diverse group of kids with different talents, different strengths, different weaknesses. And, it's my job as a coach to recognize those and make them all work together as a cohesive group.
I mean, and it seems like you're doing that magnificently, but I mean, the other thing that is almost amusing, but it's actually taken so serious that you appreciate it, are these, the inspiration behind some of these group dances. I mean, in the second episode, you introduced them to like a medium.
I did. I did. That was a very important episode for me. It
Yeah.
was a very important dance that I wanted to do. And I wanted to do it. The medium who came in was actually my assistant's godmother. So I've already had readings with her myself. So it was important to me for her to come in, and since that was the title of the dance, I wanted them to understand what that meant and have her talk to the kids a little bit. You don't see the entire
Yeah.
session with her, obviously, but there were some really raw and genuine, amazing moments, and it was a good teachable moment for those kids. And I wanted to make sure the parents were there with them. I think when we did film, I said, if anybody feels uncomfortable, you can leave. But I think it really brought us all really close together.
Yeah, at first I was like, wow, this is kind of ridiculous. But then as the show went on, it kind of turned out to be these beautiful moments, you sharing your personal story of tragedy. And then, of course, we had Mina and her mom, Min, which all of a sudden we get this huge revelation about one of, her brother who had unfortunately passed away. And I have to tell you, I was tearing up. Like, this show kind of has it all, but it was such a powerful moment.
Yeah, I don't think it's your typical Dance Moms episode at all. Um, in fact, I think that Brian Stinson, the producer, was like, "Oh, I'm a little worried about this. I don't know
Yeah.
how it's going to go over," but it has actually been the most talked about so far. The most questions I've gotten have been about that episode. So I think different is sometimes really good.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything like that, and it was kind of overwhelmingly positive by the end, watching all of the little girls go around Mina and like comfort her. And I
Yeah.
thought like, oh, is this like kind of too big of a concept to share with little kids? But it turned out to it seemed like it was a great learning lesson potentially.
It was. They all experienced losses,
Yeah.
from grandfathers to goldfish. I don't think that even made the edit, but that was one of the best moments. But it was, it really was something that brought us all closer together. It was a teachable moment. And, none of us had any idea about Min's son. She's been very, quiet about that. She never had really opened up, and I don't know that she even would have had it not been for Mina
Yeah.
mentioning it. And yeah, it kind of threw us all off, and that's why at that moment I was like, can we just shut down for a bit? Like we need
Yeah.
to all process what's happening.
I mean, I thought it was. I haven't seen that in a lot of reality television shows, so I thought that was kind of amazing. But like I said, the show has it all. It's like these kind of really, beautiful moments. There's comedic moments. I got to tell you, I was scared to talk to you today because I was like, uh oh, is she
Oh
gonna hate
God,
me? Like,
no,
is she gonna
no.
tell me like, yeah, that's not the way you ask questions, Ryan. That's not how you do it. Because you
No, no,
you will tell somebody.
I stay in my lane. I stay in my lane.
Well, I mean, you were voted Teacher of the Year in 2022 in terms of dance. You've been doing this, how long? Like, I mean, many decades now, right? Like 40 years?
It is about 40 years. I started as an assistant teacher at that age. So I haven't been teaching myself for that long, but I did take charge of classes when someone had to leave the room or if I needed to sub. So I've seen it all, done it all, except for this.
Well, I mean, what do you love about dance? Uh, you know,
Oh my gosh, I love everything about dance. It's what I live and breathe. I love that kids can have an outlet to express themselves. I love that, I've mentioned this in several interviews. It over the years of doing this, I have so many students who I firmly believe that if they were not involved and immersed in dance and spend their entire like days and weekends at the dance studio, their lives would have ended up very differently because just the hands they were dealt and things like that. And I've had kids. I used to go pick up one of my students from the projects in DC and bring him to the studio, or he would take the subway in and I would go pick him up from the subway. And I was just so happy to have him doing something positive, and to this day he's still involved in the dance world and has a daughter of his own now.
I've been watching the Olympics and then I switched over from the Olympics to watch Dance Moms. So I'm like fully in competition. I was treating these
Right.
competitions with the girls. I was like, you better win the gold on this.
Oh my
Come
gosh, they're
on.
phenomenal. Are they not? Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's inspirational, and that's what I also love about Dance Moms is getting a peek behind the curtain and finding out the stories of these young girls and their parents. Like, what is the biggest? I mean, because also the parents seem to, or some of them at least, they want to be stars themselves. So it's not just training the girls; it's almost training the parents in a sense. Like, how much, like, if you break it down, like in percentage wise, how much of your job is like dealing with the parents and how much the kids?
Okay, so out of the whole time I've been doing this, yeah, there's always going to be mama drama when you're talking about any competitive sport, right? Especially dance. I don't know what it is about dance. I think because they have to be so involved in changing their costumes and putting makeup on their kids. And I think there's something to that living vicariously through their child. I will say in this situation, just because of the immense time crunch that we were under, we
Yeah.
usually have months, like 6 to 7 months, to prepare for a dance competition, and we're doing this in 2 days. So we are all thrown into this pressure cooker. The emotions are running high. We're exhausted. the kids, I mean, the emotion is really real. And those mothers, I understand that they all just want what's best for their child. I was the same way, but I trusted the process, and I knew when it was time. My daughter's a professional ballerina, and I
And
knew
she's
that
in the show too, your
she
daughter.
is in the show, yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew when it was time to have her go somewhere else. She, at 16, she moved away and went to a ballet school, so I knew that I had done my job, but it was time for someone else to do their job. And I just want these parents to understand, I need their support. I want them to help their kids to focus and work hard at home. And, the ones who need to stretch, make sure they're getting to classes. But at the same time, I'm the expert, not them.
Yeah, I mean, well, and you guys, the show, so every week they do a new dance competition. So it's like a whole new costuming, whole new dance, whole new solo. And each week, Glow picks who gets to do the solo. There's a pyramid where like the people that are on the bottom of the pyramid, they got some stuff to work on. It's a competition for who gets to the top of the pyramid. I was really excited because somebody that I was like hoping got to the top of the pyramid just got to the top of the pyramid. So I was really excited for her. Have you
Yay.
watched this show back, all 10 episodes?
You know what? Okay, so I didn't get to see anything until I know it's so funny. I've done all these interviews and everybody's like, "Oh, we've seen the first three episodes," and I'm like, "I've seen nothing." So on Monday evening, I got to see the first episode. There was a screening, a Q&A in New York City, and I did some more press in New York. Came back, went to a launch party that we held for our kids and the parents and the families and friends. And when it launched at midnight, I sat down. My intention was to watch one episode because I had another whole press day, and I think I lasted until about 4:30 this morning,
Oh my
and I
God.
I did, and I got to I want to say it was like maybe episode seven. I think that's the one. It's my favorite dance. I can't remember if that was seven or six or seven, but I got to that one. I was like, okay, I'm gonna fast forward and watch the dance because I had been waiting for that one. And then I went to bed, slept about 3 hours, and got up and did more press. So I haven't finished, but I'm trying to sneak in bits
But
as I
that's
have to take.
that's a good sign that it sucked you in. Like
It
the
does.
person that it's about, you're like, this is like, because I didn't know if you would be hypercritical of yourself, of like, ooh, they picked this, or I should have said this.
Well, I mean, I'm always going to be. I think even in the first episode, you see I take accountability for I think what was maybe biting it off a little bit more than we could
Yeah.
chew that week because we had no idea what to expect, and I went in guns blazing. Uh, but at the same time, I have been doing this for a long time. It is what I do. It's just, like I said, a much higher pressure situation, and that makes it more difficult. There are things that are taken out just for time
Yeah.
that are sometimes disappointing because there are dances that you don't get to see that they will be. I've been told will be released like on social media. Um, but that for me, that's my biggest joy is seeing my kids and my students just perform and feel good about it. And some of the best things you might not see right away, but eventually you will.
I mean, and these, it's all based around these little kind, little girls, obviously, that are really striving to be the best. And I did not have that kind of wherewithal or passion or drive that these kids do. To go through some of the kids specifically, we got to get this Ashlyn to work on her aerial. Has Ashley, we got to figure this out, Glow, because you're telling her she's got to get into that ballet class. Does Ashlyn ever start like focusing on the ballet aspect of this?
I don't know that you see that much throughout the season, but I think that Ashlyn has made a 180, and I think we've turned a corner, and we've been working really hard in hopes that we get a season two. And I think Ashton will be ready. She'll look, her technique will be, a lot stronger, and she better have that aerial.
I mean, Ashlyn's one of my favorites, but she's also somebody that kind of like, fights a certain, like fights it, kind of fights with her mom a little bit. She was really upset about like her hair and her makeup and her costume.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the dance, they just turn it on. And the way the dances are shot, you guys, it seems like they have like 8 cameras. Like it's a really beautiful, I don't know a lot about kids dance, but I got so into this and I was going to ask you, Glow, is like, how competitive is like children's dance? Because it seems like these girls seem so insanely good. Is everybody out there like right there in that like hunt just as good?
No, I mean, dance competition is a huge industry. It's huge. When I was a kid, I think I was about maybe 13 or 14 when competitions kind of started becoming a thing. And they were these really small events held in hotel ballrooms, and now they're being held at convention centers. And the kids are missing school. And I mean, sometimes they're
Yeah.
starting on a Wednesday and this is a regional, not even a national competition. So they've gotten massive. It depends on the studio. It depends on their very specific areas in the country where dance is stronger. California is great. They're amazing. Florida is amazing. Our area is really strong. They have different styles though too. So it would be really interesting to kind of slam all those together one day and see how they fare up because they
Yeah.
are so different.
The initial iteration of Dance Moms was really popular, and we got like people like JoJo Siwa, Maddie Ziegler out of that. I mean, do the kids that you work with, are they always like, I want to be JoJo or I want to be Maddie? Like, who do you hear these girls wanting to emulate in terms of what they do?
Well, here's what's interesting, and I think even when the original iteration began, um, the kids want to be dancers. That was their goal. Their goal was to be a dancer. You know, I have some really amazing dancers coming through my studio, and probably maybe 2% of those dancers have gone on to be professional dancers. They may
Yeah.
have danced in college or something, but to actually make a career out of dance is really hard. So I think this is an amazing platform to open up these other, things for these kids like Maddie and JoJo and Mackenzie and Nia. They're all such amazing young women, and they got their start there, and they're doing really, really great things.
I mean, you work with one young lady, Audrey, who actually was on Broadway with Hugh Jackman. You
Sure
know, she did
was.
swing for all of these roles, and you really, or it's presented as you really like Audrey's one of your favorites. And I got to tell you, your daughter might be tougher than you are because I got to the episode where she's coming down on Audrey and saying, "Audrey, the show must go on." And I thought that was amazing, and I can't wait to see how that storyline continues to play out. But here's somebody, Audrey, who's like a little professional that's out there making a paycheck based on that.
Right.
Was that how is it working with somebody, a child that actually is starting to make money off of their talent? Was there a little bit of a big head that Audrey you felt had coming into this season?
I don't really think so. Audrey, I always say Audrey's a love the one you're with kind of kid. So she adapts to the situation. She's the oldest one on the team, but she's a great, contrary to what you might see in episode one, she's a great leader, a great big sister to them, a great helper to me. I saw Audrey when she was, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 years old. She did her first solo. Another teacher had taught it. And I was standing backstage and I was like, who is this kid? And I snatched her up immediately and I threw her into a group of mine with 10-year-olds because in dance competition, you strategically pull these ages together because you compete as an average age. So Audrey was my age dropper. But Audrey was out there doing the exact same thing that these other kids were doing. I wasn't watering down her part, you know?
Yeah.
So but she, in that situation, she was a professional. She did her job. She came home and she went right back to being a kid and hanging out at the dance studio and just holding kids in her lap or,
Yeah.
she's a really great kid.
I want to tease out the season a little bit for everybody listening or watching is that they start the season showing like scenes from the entire season. And they have a John Benet Ramsey costume. They had I think what it looks like the twin girls from The Shining. What is happening on Dance Moms, like episodes 5 through 10? Because it seems like I was like, John Benet Ramsey, what is happening here? Who is Glow? What are you doing with these, with what are you choosing
Okay.
here?
Hey, controversy, right? Sells a little bit, right? It's really cool to draw from things. A lot of these things, it's another teachable moment for the kids. They didn't live through these time periods, right? They
Yeah.
had to go do research on John Benet Ramsey, on Priscilla Presley, on Well, I won't give away
Yeah.
I won't give away episode 10 just yet, but there's a really teachable moment there that the parents were like, "Oh, we really going here?" Yeah, it had to do with oh my God,
But,
can I whisper the name
yeah,
to
yeah,
you? You
whisper,
won't
whisper,
tell
whisper. I'll
anybody,
cut it all.
right?
I'll cut it
Right?
out.
Okay, Lorena Bobbitt.
Oh my God. This is what I need out of Dance Moms. Are you kidding me?
How do you
What
get better than
By the
Lorena
way,
Bobbitt?
that's an automatic season 2 right there. You are, I don't care if who, I'm taking season 2 right here. That is incredible. Um, sorry, I got to collect
No, it's
myself.
fine.
Okay.
It's okay. You know
So,
what? I actually I can speak about it because it's out now. So now I can
yeah,
tell you.
it is out now. How was there any trepidation? Like, I know you appeared in the initial iteration of Dance Moms a little bit in
Mm.
season 3 and season 4 with your daughter. Was there any trepidation of you coming into this? This is a big role. Like, there's a lot of heat on you in particular. We
Mhm.
know how Abby Lee Miller in the past, and like, how much attention was put on her. Was there any trepidation in doing this for yourself? Like, I don't know if I want these eyes on me in this way.
Well, of course, I first of all, I've never been one to want to be the center of attention. I behind the scenes and putting my kids out there and showcasing them and their talent and helping them be the best version of themselves they can be. I've never wanted to put myself in that light. So when the opportunity arose, it was like, wow, I've been doing this for so long, and is there something next? I kind of just assumed this is what I would do for the rest of my life. And then when this opportunity came along, I was like, you know what? I think I can do this, and I'm going to challenge myself, and I'm going to step out of my comfort zone. They're big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Abby is a very knowledgeable and really good dance instructor. She knows her shit, and can I say shit?
Yeah,
Sorry.
you can. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean,
Kids
Abby
shouldn't
knows.
be listening. Kids should be,
Okay,
it's
no,
just
no
Dance
kids.
Moms,
Okay,
just the
good, good,
moms.
good. Right. So I appreciate that about her. We both actually, I think, have a very similar um, teaching base, how we teach and what we teach, and the importance of proper technique and knowing terminology and things like that. But I do have a different teaching style, and I think I've gotten a lot of questions lately about,
Yeah.
you know, why do this again? Some of these kids have spoken out about, being traumatized and having PTSD. And what I say to that is, in any competitive sport and even children's sports, your coach has to be tough. But teaching with tough love is very different than just being tough and mean.
Yeah.
So my kids want nothing more than to please me, and they want to please me because they love me, not because they fear me.
Yeah, no, that's beautifully said. And I know you have been asked so much about Abby Lee Miller, but just for my audience that might be aware, I believe the story was that you did text her, or she texted you, and then I think kind of communication fell off. Like, she might not be as supportive as we might want her to be.
Right.
Is that the story, Chloe?
It is. Abby and I were dear friends.
Yeah.
We've been on vacations together. We met when we did her original series, and we just got close. We knew a lot of the same people in the dance industry, and it was kind of a natural, easy friendship. I flew out to LA with my daughter when she was very, very ill, to be there for her. And, she was a very important part of our lives. And she did reach out and congratulate me. And then I don't know what happened. I mean, everything was like a whirlwind. So I wasn't, we were filming. I wasn't really in touch with anyone. But then I found out we were both in Florida. And I was like, hey, let's get together. And she was not really receptive. And I mean, I'm sure it's hard. I'm sure it's hard
Yeah.
for her. But I would love to have her support, and I would love to have some input and some guidance. And
Yeah.
hey,
And I
just
think it shines an overall, spotlight on the initial iteration as well, and how much came from that. And I was going to ask too, is that coming out of this, were you happy that you challenged yourself? Having done these 10 episodes, were you like, this is way better than I thought the experience could possibly be?
You know what? I did come out of it saying I had so much fun. Just as hard as it was, still doing my regular teaching job in the evening and getting up at 4:30 in the morning to film. And we were exhausted and it was hard work. And, there were days that I just had to hug the kids and say, I love you, you know? And it probably was the hardest thing I've ever done. But I will tell you that all of us coming out of this have a very special relationship that no one would understand unless they were there. Even the moms who are going at each other, they would take a bullet for one of the other kids. It's
Yeah.
it's just it's really really special. And um, I did it was hard, but absolutely, I'm so glad that I challenged myself, and I'm glad that I can be me and be different.
Yeah.
You know,
I think this is a no-brainer because I want to kind of continue to see these girls' stories. I want to
yeah,
continue to see how you kind of mold them. Now, the mom's close to a fist fight in the episode I just saw. So, I mean,
right.
I don't know if we need like a security detail on site to like protect these women from each other, but
Maybe.
the
I don't know.
moms.
I think Min was really good security. I just watched that. And little tiny Min had Roxy in a chokehold, keeping her away,
Yeah, you guys,
So
that's
I mean,
Mina's mom. You're gonna like
Mina's mom, yeah,
you're
she
gonna
is
meet
no nonsense.
all of
Yeah,
these women, all of these girls. They're all kind of really well. Which, by the way, Min, really quick. I know we're winding down here.
yeah.
Is Min in the first episode? This like because I don't know. I can barely move my legs as is, so I don't know dance. But you literally Min does the solo. And I was like, this is amazing. And you said she killed it, but she could do much better. And
Mm,
I was trying to look because also she does very well in the competition. I don't want to give anything away,
right,
but
right.
like what could she have done better? Like what are you looking at? Like is it not extending enough? Like
Yeah.
what are you looking at specifically?
With Mina specifically, it's the muscle engagement. She things are actually very easy for her, so she doesn't always put the full, extent of her strength behind her movement. So therefore, sometimes she's wobbly or she falls off a turn or she's not, if when you're doing a proper pirouette, which the layperson would call a spin, you should be like as high on the ball of your foot as you can. And, there were times if you go back and you look to see where her heel is, it's not up as high as it can, things like that. But it's all about just being strong. And she forgets that because she can still do all of these amazing things. I call her a noodle. I'm like, you
Yeah.
can do this. You're a noodle. If you actually ever decide to tighten a muscle, like nobody would touch you ever.
I mean, she's 8 years old. I'm like shocked what she can do. Like she's like kicking her leg like
Yeah.
above her head like 1,000 times in a row. I was blown away. Like, listen, I don't know anything about dance, but okay. So finally, listen, Hulu and ABC, I think they're buddies. Would if you got offered Dancing with the Stars, would you ever go on? Let's critique Glow's dancing performance. Would you ever consider doing Dancing with the Stars?
Whoa. Okay, you're the first person to ask that. That's a good one. Okay, well, first of all, I said I want to do Big Brother and Amazing Race. I'd probably die halfway through, but I still want to do them. Would I do that? I mean, yeah, I think I would. I've had students who've gone on to do cruise ships and had to learn ballroom, and they said it's so different that they're using muscles they've never used before. I'd have to lose a lot of weight and get myself in shape, but I think I would do it. Sure.
Well, listen, when you get cast, I better get a ticket to watch you because I'll be in the front
Absolutely,
row.
absolutely. For the
And
Mirror Ball Trophy, you'll be there
yes,
finale night.
and also, if you ever decide to start training old podcasters, I'd love to take a class from you
Hey,
to learn how to
come on over
extend.
to DC. Yep, we
You
got you.
guys, the show is Dance Moms, A New Era, all 10 episodes on Hulu. This was such a blast. Miss Glow, thank you so much for being here. And you guys,
Thank you so much,
the
Ryan.
show has everything. Good luck, and I hope to talk to you again on season two.
Thank you so much. Thank you.